Hi y'all, my name is Kayla and welcome to my cozy chaotic corner of the internet. So, if you saw the thumbnail and read the title of this video, then you already know we are going to be answering the question of, can you truly judge a book based on its cover? And if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. My name's Kayla. Don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you did that. What we do in this series is Kayla, this human right here, pick up a book based solely on its cover. I don't read the synopsis. I don't read any blurbs. I know nothing. I just go into the book sight unseen. Well, not unseen because I picked it literally based on its cover. The concept is I pick books whether I think the cover is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, phenomenal, chef's kiss, or I think the cover is trash. Now, I always want to note that obviously this is 110% opinion based. I may absolutely despise a cover, and you may think that cover is absolutely stunning and gorgeous, and guess what? You are allowed to have that opinion. And I'm not gonna judge you. Well, I might slightly just With that noted, in today's episode, we are going to be reading Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Now, I always like to note right off the bat, I don't let you guys know what I think about this cover. You have to wait a little bit, hang around a little bit. But I do love asking the question, what do you think about this cover? Do you like it? Do you think it's questionable in taste? Are you indifferent? And question number 2, do you think I like this cover? Have you been around long enough to get a grasp of my taste? And if you haven't been around long enough, there is a playlist. You can go ahead and watch it. I'll include it in the description down below and in the little card up above. One thing I do like doing before we actually get into me reading the book and me telling you what I think about this book, what you think about this book, I know what you think about this book. I do love kind of just like looking at the cover and being all like, this is what I think this book is going to be about. So first and foremost, I always love giving you guys the opportunity to look at the cover while I try not to read the synopsis on the back. Fun fact, I know I don't explain this every single time, but I actually try my best to not even read the synopsis while I'm reading the book. I'll read the synopsis after I read the book. In fact, we read the synopsis together. So just so you know, if you're new here, later on in the video, I will read the actual synopsis so that you and I are on the same page about what the heck this book is supposed to be about. But with that noted, this cover is a hodgepodge. It feels very collage-y almost. Like it's a bunch of doodles and bits and bobs of someone's life. So I almost feel like it's giving diary-esque vibes. I don't know. It has what potentially looks like a house crest on it. I'm gonna assume it's based in the UK because there's the good old Union Jack on there. There is a willow tree, which I love a willow tree. It has a wolf, it has a deer. The house crest also has like a stag head crest within the crest, and then it has a little dagger crest within the crest. There's a crown. There's a hat that looks like the hat that Bert wore in the carnival scene in Mary Poppins. You know, it literally has a little bit of everything in it. So all I'm gonna say is I think the main character's name is Magnolia Parks. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with we're in the diary of Magnolia Parks. Is that accurate? We'll find out. Bitch. Shut the fuck up, Marsley. interesting. Actually not that bad. I feel like a lot of canned cold brews are usually way too bitter. I personally would want something just like a scotch sweeter. We're not here to talk about my beverage of choice, but if you haven't grabbed your beverage of choice yet, go grab a little snack, go grab a little beverage. When you come back, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But today we are talking about Miss Maggie P. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. First and foremost, let's just chat about this cover. I am currently at a stage of indifference with this cover. I would say initially when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's an interesting cover. And then I started to dislike it. And then I started to like it. And then I started to dislike again. It's just been a roller coaster with my emotions of this cover. I appreciate these covers more than these covers. These covers are giving me like The Click, giving me Gossip Girl. I feel like they're very reminiscent of like an early 2000s book series. I'm not a fan of these covers at all, so I would gladly own this cover over wherever the heck that is. As always with these videos, I do not read the synopsis, and I try my best not to read the synopsis even while I'm reading the book. And I did not read the Magnolia Parks synopsis, so let's read that together. She is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved, and mildly neurotic London socialite. He is Britain's most photographed bad boy who broke her heart. Magnolia Parks and BJ Ballantyne are meant to be, and everyone knows it. She dates other people to keep him at bay. He sleeps with other girls to get back at her for it. But at the end of their every sad endeavor to get over one another, it's still each other they crawl back to. Only now their dysfunction is catching up with them, pulling at their seams and fraying the world they've built. A world where neither has ever let the other go completely. As the cracks start to show and secrets begin to surface, Magnolia and BJ are finally forced to face the formidable question they've been avoiding all their lives. How many loves do you really get in a lifetime? Also, it's raining currently, and the thunder has made an appearance. First and foremost, Magnolia Parks is a 22-year-old woman. BJ, I believe, is 25, and they've known each other for a majority of their lives. Why do I feel the way I feel about this book? I want to note how pleasantly surprised I was at the lack of smut in this book. I've seen the girly pops talking about this book. I've seen it everywhere, especially with the new covers. I thought this was going to be the raunchiest book on the face of the planet. And that is not the case in any capacity. Now, with that noted, they do talk about sex a lot. They do drugs a lot. They drink a lot. So it's not, you know, completely modest in its ways. But the few sex scenes there are, they're very mild. It's like the very first one there was for Magnolia. She was more just like thinking about everything under the sun, and every once in a while it'll be like, oh yeah, he's inside of her now. And then it would carry on with her just thinking about 20 other things all at once. I was really surprised with the lack of smut in it. And that's not to say that I don't like smut. I enjoy a good sex scene every once in a while. But I thought this was going to be just like dripping in it, and it really wasn't. Next, in the first chapter or so of the book, I thought I was going to DNF it because both Magnolia and BJ are from very affluent families. They're both very wealthy. Magnolia is very materialistic, and she acknowledges it though. She's all like, I will take my whatever the heck purse over a relationship any day because materials are forever and relationships are fleeting. And I was like, okay, pop off, sis. Yes. But the first few chapters, I was like, I don't know if I can handle someone just constantly talking about clothing and designer clothing and material items. But just so you know, while yes, it is continuously woven throughout the story, there is a lot of story building, character building. There's a lot that's happening, and it went by very quickly. Like, this is not a small book, right? This is not a tiny task to tackle. I felt as though this went very quickly. The chapters are fairly short. We do alternate perspectives between BJ and Magnolia pretty consistently, so it actually helps a lot to get like the full scope and full story because you're getting both perspectives, which I actually really loved. That part I appreciated, because oftentimes, especially in romance books, you're only getting like one perspective. It's always interesting to know what's going on in the other character's head. So we definitely got that with this. Now, why do I feel indifferent about this book? Very toxic relationship. What happens is Magnolia and BJ were in this relationship, seemed like a fairy tale type relationship, and then he cheats on her. And after he cheats on her, she calls it quits, but they stay in each other's lives. Like, literally, BJ sleeps over. They don't do anything sexual. Nothing is ever happening, but he literally will like sleep in Magnolia's bed. They're just constantly in each other's lives. Magnolia is always getting pissed if she ever sees him with another woman. He is resentful of the fact that she's dating other men. And it's a very, very toxic relationship. And as someone in their early 30s who has been one or two very toxic relationships, it was just uncomfortable to read these characters being so actively involved and actively interacting in such a toxic relationship. But then at the same time, I'm like, Kayla, you practically did the same damn thing. So if you're older and you are out of that phase of your life, you have to put yourself in a mindset of your younger self if you were ever in a toxic relationship. And just remember that no matter what all your friends said, you still went back to that a-hole. That part I wasn't a fan of, but then character development starts to happen. More characters are brought in. It's not just the Maggie P and BJ show. Magnolia has a little foxhole with this guy named Tom Anderson? Tom something. His name's Tom. He is a very wealthy person. He's 30, 31, dating Magnolia, who's 22, so that was a life choice. They call each other their foxholes because they're having this conversation of Magnolia is like, I just need a foxhole to hide in. And he's like, well, I can be your foxhole. So they start like fake dating. That fake dating relationship there starts to turn into like actual emotions on both parties. But it's always been like a sticky situation, right? Like they're both kind of like entangled in other situationships, and then they come together, and then it just becomes a very messy cobweb that a lot of people are getting stuck into. Things start to get messier and messier, especially as feelings start to evolve and grow. And during this entire time, Magnolia and BJ are still being toxic, and Tom is actually very like understanding of the situation. He's very much like, may the best man win, but also isn't being overly competitive to the point where it would make Magnolia feel uncomfortable. So yeah, that's just an interesting storyline and dynamic. But the plot twist at the first and foremost, I would just like to note that I called this plot twist. And this plot twist happens literally, I think, in like the last 5 pages of the book. Shit spirals. And it leaves the book in an interesting cliffhanger. With that noted, if you have read Magnolia Parks or know anything about the Magnolia Parks universe, you know that there are 5 books in total. And it goes from Magnolia to someone named Daisy Hates to Magnolia to Daisy Hates to Magnolia. Do I have to read Daisy? Because Daisy's in this book, and to be quite frank, I had zero interest in her. In fact, of the Hates family, I would love for Jonah. I want a Jonah book. I actually really appreciated and enjoyed Jonah, and Jonah is one of BJ's closest friends. He seems to have his head on his shoulders the most. He is part of like a mafia family, but yeah, his character I really loved and appreciated, and I doubt he's gonna be the other perspective in Daisy Hates. So if you've read Magnolia Parks and you've read the universe in general, can I just skip the Daisy Hates storyline and go on to the next Magnolia one? Let's delve a little deeper into what happens in this book, because there is one situation in this book that I cannot stand, and I want to strangle this person every time they talk after a certain point. So this is a big spoiler section. So if you don't want any spoilers, just, I don't know what else I'm going to talk about. So maybe just don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, on to our spoilers. Magnolia's father, she still lives with her parents, by the way. He asks her, he's like, hey, do you know of any really nice hotels that I can bring some clients to? And she lists off a place. He's like, no. That's too well known. Something a little more off the grid. And she tells him a place and he's like, dope, cool, thank you so much. Well, it's a newer place, and Magnolia's I would love to check out that place. So a little later down the road, completely kind of forgetting about that conversation, her and BJ go to this place. And it just so happens that when she gets to this hotel, she sees her dad's car there. And she's like, oh, that's my dad's car. That's my dad's car. Interesting. I mean, I do remember telling him about this place. So maybe he's here with those clients he was talking about. Her and BJ check in, drop their stuff off at their room, go to a little restaurant in the hotel, and she sees her dad there. But her dad is there with a woman, which is fine. He can be there with a woman. But he's there with their nanny. And Magnolia's like, this is odd. As she's kind of sitting there being like, should I go say hi to them? Should I go talk to them? They lean in for a little smoochy smooch. What you need to know is that Magnolia's parents are still married. So the old man is cheating with the nanny. Now, I will note, the nanny's older. Obviously, she's been with the family for quite some time now. I think a chapter down the road, after she confronts them, she may or may not have leaked it to the press that there was a cheating scandal going on that her father was involved in. Well, that's kind of how everyone else finds out that the dad and Marcelly, the nanny, were having an affair. And so the mom is like, F you, F this, I'm out. Now, the reason why this part infuriates me so much is because while yes, Marcelly has been a part of the family for quite some time, and yes, she has had a parental-like position in Magnolia's life, she then starts to belittle Magnolia, and she tries to continue having the same relationship with Magnolia as they have always had. And Magnolia has been very clear with her that I do not want anything to do with you. And it's just oh my God, it was just so infuriating. Anytime she would say anything, anytime she would hop up in a scene, anytime she would make an appearance, and she would just be like, Magnolia, it's just, this is what happens. It happened. What do you want from me? And it's like, hey, how about you not be cheating with my dad? And she's like, but we love each other. And it's like, that's great. Love that for you. But my personal situation with cheating. Hello, BJ cheated on me. That's why we technically aren't together. So what in God's loving earth reason do you think I would be okay with my dad now sleeping in the same bedroom under the same roof as me with his mistress? Riddle me that. Anyways, I just hated that part. That's not the biggest plot line in the whole story. It's just a plot line that happens. And then anytime that woman opened her mouth throughout the rest of the story, I was yelling at my book. I was yelling at my book. I was screaming at the audiobook. I was just like, ugh, shut up, get off the page. I just can't stand you. Anyways, But the grandma in this book, oh my gosh, she's a hoot and a half. And you know what? Even though both Magnolia and BJ had a very toxic relationship and continue to have a very toxic relationship, I appreciated both of them as characters, but I also appreciate a good morally gray character. I enjoyed the character relationships, the relationships as a whole, because this is a very tight-knit group of friends. Like, everyone is, it's a very incestual relationship of friends. BJ's friends and Magnolia's friends are all friends, so I think that's another reason why, like, even though they broke up, like, they didn't actually break up, because their friends are just so interwoven. But yeah, I pretty much loved all the friends. I loved all of BJ's male friends. I feel like of all of them, he was kind of the shithead, and the rest of them very much had their head on their shoulders. The worst of them were our two main characters. So that's Magnolia Parks. That's Magnolia Parks. I had a good time reading this book, but I still don't 100% know where I fall, like, on the rating scale of everything. Like, it's definitely not a 5-star, but I don't know if I'm so indifferent that it's a 3-star. So we'll figure that one out. Does the contents match the cover? Yeah, I would say I'm indifferent, leaning towards appreciating. But with all of that noted, in the next episode of Can You Judge a Book by Its Cover, we will be tackling Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And I will see y'all in the next one. You just fucked your best friend's boyfriend, bitch.